Happy Halloween, everybody. It's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. I thought that today was the last day of Mixer Premier Drafts, but it turns out they're still going for 20 more hours. So we're going to do one more Mixer Premier Draft instead of the Crimson Vow Halloween Draft today, because this format is actually leaving in 20 hours, so I do want to get one last draft in with it before it goes away. I've had a pretty good time with these. They're pretty random, pretty chaotic. And just kind of crazy stuff. But with that whole intro out of the way, let's look at our pack one, pick one. Gigantic pile of poop in terms of these first 10 cards, but we've got a few pretty good uncommons to choose from. The main two cards here being the Untamed Kavu, a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance Trample, or 5-mana 5/5 Vigilance Trample, or the Plague Mare, which can be pretty good against other aggressive decks. I think I'm going to go with Untamed Kavu here. It's a little more flexible, a little easier to cast, only requiring a single green instead of double black, and it's just better at more points of the game. It's a great 2-drop or a great 5-drop. Pretty big fan of the Untamed Kavu, and we'll roll with that to start this draft off. For pick 2, we've got Maestro's Charm as one of the strongest cards in the pack, but that is incredibly restrictive color-wise and mana-wise, and it does not go with our Untamed Kavu at all. We're not going to play a 4-color deck trying to play Kavu and Maestro's Charm, at least not most likely. Some of the other strongest cards in the pack, if we're looking at stuff that might go with the Kavu, would be Corrupt Court Official. Card's always a pretty decent deal. Probably a little worse in the Mixer drafts than it was in its original format, because there were a lot of good ways to sacrifice it for value. And we can't really rely on getting that here. We've got Open the Gates if we do want to play something more multicolored. So it'd be fine mana fixing, pull out whatever basic land we need at worst. There's a hard to cast 3-mana 3/3 with no relevant abilities. Another really weak pack overall. A 2-mana 3/1, a dorky flyer, dorky little tap down creature. All this seems pretty bad. Honestly, the best card's probably Memorial to Folly, weirdly enough. Just if we end up in black, being able to have a land that seconds as a spell later in the game if we're flooding out is a pretty good ability. So we'll take Memorial to Folly, but again, that pack was really weak. Alright, this pack is actually very good. We have Luminous Bonds for sorcery speed removal, stopping a creature from attacking and blocking, or we have Blood Curdle as instant speed removal that completely destroys the creature. So even if the creature has a good ability, it's going to get rid of it, and you're going to get a menace counter on one of your cards. I think Blood Curdle is definitely a bit stronger than the Luminous Bonds, and we did take a black land last pack, so it's a pretty great place to go here. But those aren't the only good cards in this pack. Fang of Shigeki's solid. Nice little early drop that always trades into any creature it gets in combat with. Fertilid is a fine little mana ramp dork that's fun to play around with. Yeah, definitely a better pack here. We'll take the Blood Curdle though. Pack 1, pick 4. Spirited Companion is one of the best cards here. 2 mana for a 1/1 that draws you a card is a pretty good deal. Kami can be a great deal if you can have an artifact and an enchantment on board, which was easy enough in Kamigawa, but in Mixer Draft, that's kind of a hard sell. I like Dark Bargain a good bit as instant speed card draw. We're looking at the top 3 cards of the library, putting 2 in a hand and the other in grave. It's pretty solid. Sleeper Dart is fine filler because it draws a card and replaces itself no matter what, and the ability to lock a creature down for a turn is fine. I like Spirited Companion the most here. I think I'm just going to roll with it. Fierce Retribution is good as well. There's not a lot of great removal I've found, and it tends to get taken super highly. So we could just take removal really highly here, but I'm going to go Spirited Companion. Alright, pack 1, pick 5. Nothing great in green. Gaia's Protector just trades into a 2-mana 2/2. So never plays all that well. Reckoner's Bargain's okay in response to a removal spell or something like that, but I think Gallant Cavalry is one of the strongest cards in here, and we could start pushing into white-black this way. 4 mana for 2 2/2s with Vigilance, pretty good deal. Yep, another relatively weak pack. Snapping Drake's also pretty strong. Maybe the Ironhoof Boar, Pummeler's kind of whatever. I'll take the Gallant Cavalry. Okay. Pack 1, pick 6. Lurking Deadeye has a pretty good enter the battlefield effect, but it falls into the same issue that the Gaia's Protector does, where it only has 2 toughness for your 4 mana card. So your 4 mana card, again, trading down into a 2 mana 2/2. always feels terrible. Two-headed zombie, the menace is pretty good evasion if you're trying to get damage in. Abnormal endurance actually works really nicely with our spirited companion and our gallant cavalry though. This card is a really good trick with good enter the battlefield effects, and we could draft more to draft around it. So Lurking Deadeye, Abnormal Endurance, and Two-Headed Zombie all seem pretty solid to me. I think I'm going to go Abnormal Endurance here. Get a bunch of creatures with good enter the battlefield effects. Wow, very good Jukai Preserver in here. So not going to be married to green-white, or green-black or black-white yet. I think I'm just going to take Jukai Preserver. 4 mana for a 3/3 that puts a +1/+1 counter on something when it enters the battlefield. So basically a 4 mana 4/4, pretty good rate there. It also has the channel ability to use it as a combat trick, if you want to do that instead. Jukai Preserver is great. Vantasaur is solid. It was really good in Ikoria because there were so many cards that cared about cycling. Without the ways that care about it, it's still okay, because it gives you the cycling if you don't have mana for it, and the big body if you do. But Preserver's just straight up great, so we'll take that instead. Not much going on here. Best card is Surge Mare, but that's very color restrictive. Double blue to get it on the board. Everything else looks pretty filler for whatever deck they end up in. There are way better ways to fix mana than Navigator's Compass, because that puts you down a card just to fix your mana. Because it's not providing a mana by itself, it's just fixing the mana you already have. I'll just take the black combat trick since we have a little bit more black than any other color. Fungal Infection's pretty fine, 1 mana for a 1/1. It's basically, you can treat it as a 1 mana 1/1 with a flash that gives a creature -1/-1 when it enters the battlefield. Pretty good rate there, I'll take it. Corrupt Court Official Wield, that's nice. This card plays really well with Abnormal Endurance type abilities to bring it back from the graveyard to the battlefield, get the enter the battlefield effect again. So we're definitely in black. We'll find out soon enough if we're in black-white or black-green. I don't think we'll be in both, but we could take Cerulean Caretaker as potential mana fixing. And whatever we take here is going to be mana fixing. I don't know which I like more. Caretaker, I do need more creatures out to be using it. Open the Gates is a little less restrictive. Don't really have to draft around it at all. Take the Dark Bargain here, but Sleeper Dart is not horrible. Gaia's Protector is pretty bad. I'd like to cut this if I can, but I think it's more likely to get played than Highland Lake. Some really weird things would have to happen to get me to push into blue and red. Alright, pack 2, Blossoming Marsh, nice green-black dual land. I might just take that, weirdly enough. If I take a white card, I'm taking a Danto Vanguard, which is a pretty great aggressive card. The black card in here is not very good, and the green card in here is not very good. So it's mana fixing a white card, or we take an off-color card and try to push into a different color. Push to blue-black now with this Tyrant's Scorn. Destroys a small creature or bounces any creature. Pretty solid interaction. Not quite really on that level of making me want to push into another color. I'll just take Blossoming Marsh. I think I want to commit to Golgari now. Some very good removal in this pack, it looks like. The corner of my eye here, we've got a Daring Demolition, just 4 mana sorcery, destroy a creature or vehicle. Pretty perfect to me. Shambling Ghast is good as well. Trades off into 2 toughness creatures, or it can spit out a treasure token for you nice and early. Ramp into a big play. Pretty solid pack. I'm just going to take Daring Demolition though. Feral Invocation's an okay combat trick because it does leave a permanent buff behind. But I only really have 3 green cards, one of which is Gaia's Protector, which is pretty bad. So I could take Corpse Knight here, which I think is a lot stronger if we do end up in white-black. Good for a black-white aggro deck. If we can get a lot of creatures entering the battlefield, we're going to make our opponent lose a bunch of life. Just a good creature on rate on an aggressive curve. Okay. Gorging Vulture is going to be a solid addition to our deck no matter what, because we are definitely in black. Little flyer that gains us some random life, fills our grave a little bit. The rare here just gets a bunch of lands out of your deck. Or shoots all the flyers, not that good. It's pretty narrow and limited. If green is the main color in your deck and you're playing a ton of colors, then the ability to tutor out a bunch of lands can be good, but even if we are green-black to where we want to try to be green-black splash white, double green's a little bit of a difficult sell to cast double green mana fixing, because we're still going to have a majority black cards in the deck at this rate. So I'd much prefer mana fixing like Open the Gates, and we only need a single green mana to cast. Fathom Fleet Cutthroat's pretty cool. 4 mana for a 3/3, and you get to finish off a creature that's been dealt damage when it enters the battlefield. Helps your small creatures trade up into some pretty big blockers out of nowhere. And the only other on-color cards are very filler, a 2/1 that doesn't do anything in Mixer Draft, a 2/4, and a Locket. We don't end up playing this guy as Protector. Prefer not to play the Walking Corpse. If you open the gates. Ooh, Blight Breath Catoblapa is probably, or Catablipus, however you want to say it, is probably pretty good in this deck. I guess we don't have that much of a black devotion, even though we have mostly black in here. But worst case scenario, 6 mana for a 3/2 that gives something -2/2 till end of turn. It's not completely horrible, and if we can make it do -3/3 or -4/4, then that card is very good. So I'll roll with that. Okay, so I have 3 white cards I really want to play and 2 green I really want to play. Still don't know what I'm doing here, for sure. Other than that, I'm in black. Brightwood Tracker is a really good mana sink. It's probably the best card in the pack. Giant Growth's a fine trick, but we've got a lot of good non-creatures right now in just black. Glory Bears is very filler. Pursuit's filler draw. We'll take a Brightwood Tracker. Pack 2, pick 8. Do I have any auras for Heliod's Pilgrim? I don't think I do. Yeah, Heliod's Pilgrim does absolutely nothing. Only tutors for auras, but it's the only on-color card, so whatever. I suppose. Pick 9. This all looks pretty bad. This all is pretty bad. We'll take a Bag of Holding. That's definitely the best card in the pack, and it's one of the very few in our colors. Pick 10. Seagate Banneret's a fine little aggro dork. Gives you a late game mana sink. It was particularly good because it added to your party, but I think it's probably okay even if it doesn't. And we do have 1 aura if we end up playing green, black, and white. Glowspore Shaman looks fine. 2 mana 3/1 with some self-mill attached. If we pick up any graveyard synergies, that could be good. Final pack. What do we open up? Rada, Heart of Keld. That's going to be pretty hard to cast. Need green and red mana. She's pretty strong, but probably not worth the splash here. Terra Sunder is a really good removal spell that we can play in here. Green, black, and 2 to exile and non-land permanent at instant speed. Very flexible instant speed removal. Come on in the deck. Alright, at this point, I think I am narrowing it down. I've said that multiple times, but now I mean it. Flunk is pretty good removal. Professor of Zoomancy is just a very good deal. 4 mana for a 4/3 and a 1/1 pest. Witch's Cauldron can be fine. I think I just want to take Flunk here. It's really efficient removal and limited. Not often do people get to keep like even 3 or more cards in hand. Really good 3-drop now. Callous Blood Mage, a very flexible card. 3 mana for a 2/1 and you draw a card. It can be Phyrexian Rager, or it can exile your opponent's graveyard, or it can give you a Pest token. Beautiful card. Next best card is Ecstatic Awakener. Very good card for Innistrad Midnight Hunt, especially if you have some good creatures to sacrifice to it, like Pest tokens or Decayed Zombies. But we'll go with the Callous Blood Mage and be pretty happy about that. Clockwork Servant off triple black. Seems like a pretty good deal to me. 3 mana for a 2/3 and draw a card. Probably better than the Horror of the Broken Lands. Just a 5 mana 4/4 in here that can cycle. I do like that the Amonkhet cycling cards trigger when you cycle or discard a card, so they actually do synergize with channel cards, unlike the Ikoria ones that only synergize with cycling. But I'm still going to take the Clockwork Servant there. Ooh, Colossal Dreadmaw, the classic 6 mana 6/6 trample. That's a game ender. We don't have a lot when it comes to actually closing out the game. We've got a lot in the middle, which is great, and a lot of good removal. But we can use just a big game-ending dork. Covetous Urge is kind of a fun way to end the game as well. You cast your opponent's spell against them, but quadruple black, a little difficult, a little much. We'll just go for the Colossal Dreadmaw. Ooh, Jungle Creeper's a sweet value card. 3 mana for a 3/3 that you can just always bring back from your grave to your hand later in the game. It's just a 3 mana 3/3 that you always put into combat and you're always okay with trading it off. It's also good if you self-mill it off a Glowspore Shaman or a Gorging Vulture. So Jungle Creeper seems like a sweet addition here. It's a very good pack for us. There's also Yavimaya Sojourner, which I guess we're only green-black, so that doesn't do much. But Twin Veil Tree Folk's got a good adventure and then a big body. Siege Zombie also probably doesn't do too much in this deck, but it's cool. But yeah, Jungle Creeper looks beautiful there. Another game ender, 5 mana 5/4 trample. Or a 7 mana 7/6 menace. We could also play this as a 5 mana 7/6 menace if we sack a creature, but again, I don't think I have the most expendable creatures. I have 1 or 2, like Corrupt Court Official and a Sapperling and a Pest, but not like a boatload. I think I'd rather just have a 5 mana 5/4 Vigilance Trample. It's also my first 5 mana card in the deck. Got this Bag of Holding that feels a little slow. Bunch of poop I won't play, so I'll hold down the Alt key and see if there's any cards here I don't own. Looks like I have them all, so just take the uncommon for Vault Progress. Oh, I don't have my 4th Crash Through, but Reef Soul could actually get played in here. A 2 mana sorcery. It only destroys small creatures, but still, 2 mana to destroy something is a pretty good deal. I do have a lot of removal here. I've done a really good job scooping that up. Novice Occultist is definitely playable. 2 mana for a 1/2. Usually just trump blocks, but when it does, you get to draw a card, have it replace itself. Better than the Scalding Cauldron, because again, we have a lot of removal. And now we have Ecstatic Awakener, a good way to use our Sapperling token, our Novice Occultist, our Pest token, our Corrupt Court Official. I think Ecstatic Awakener absolutely makes the cut. And I'm just going to put this Snow-Covered Swamp in the deck to be fancy. I don't love the Feral Invocation. I think I'm just cutting the combat tricks to make room for removal spells, and then the one combat trick we'll play is the Abnormal Endurance, because it's so good with our Enter the Battlefield effects, of which we have a decent bit of. Blight Breath is great to redo, Fathom Fleet's great to redo, Jukai Preserver is a good Enter the Battlefield effect to redo. I think Abnormal Endurance looks pretty good in here still, so we'll keep that one. So if I cut this swamp, we have 24 cards. If I play only 16 lands, I already have a deck, but I think I've got a couple big 6-drops. I probably do want the standard 17 land deck here. I also have a Memorial to Folly, which is nice, so one of my lands can cycle into a creature. So that's good. So yeah, let's cut one card and have our Golgari value pile going on here. 16 creatures, 8 non-creatures. Pretty great counts on either. I can cut whichever card type I want. With Fungal Infection, I basically have 17 creatures. So what do we want to do here? I feel like I'm pretty okay to cut a creature. I might cut Brightwood Tracker. I feel like I've got enough other value stuff, and if I'm cutting a creature here, I'm down to 15. Might be a little difficult. I mean, we're looking 4 cards deep to find a creature with this thing, so that should theoretically hit stuff. But it is quite the mana sink, 6 mana. Kavu's another 5-drop, potentially. So yeah, I don't really want to cut any 2s. I like the way the curve looks generally. Could cut a 3 mana card, but I think they're all pretty good at 3 mana. And I like the 6-drops to end the game. Yeah, I'm just going to cut the tracker. I think I can win the game without mana sinking into trying to draw more creatures. I could also just cut the Dark Bargain instead of that. Also seems fine to me, but we'll keep that in there and call it a deck. Alright, here we have a look at the final deck list we'll be playing today. It is a Golgari mid-range deck, and it looks like a really sweet one at that. Pretty perfect curve here, a bunch of great removal. So just a really consistent, really mid-rangey strategy here. We've got stuff throughout the game, giving us a little bit of card draw, a little bit of treasure, a little bit of everything here. Just value throughout the game. We've got a tiny bit of a spooky sub-theme to the deck. For Halloween, we've got the Gorging Vulture self-milling, the Glowspore Shaman self-milling to return a little jungle creeper to, I don't know, maybe scare somebody. Maybe that's Halloween enough. I don't know. We've, of course, got our late-game finishers, just some giant Vigilant Trample creatures, the Worm and the Kavu, and then the gigantic Colossal Dreadmod Dinosaur as the biggest finisher. But yeah, until then, even a ton of good mid-range creatures and a ton of good removal. So really nice, really basic, really consistent strategy here. We'll see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are, game 1 on the play. Nothing till turn 4, but our mana is good, and cards that we have are quite powerful, so we gotta hope our opponent is not that aggressive. They did start with a red-white dual land. We don't like to see that. Those are the most aggressive colors. Red, white, green, and a Feral Prowler to start it off. 1/3 that draws them a card when it dies. Alright, things look pretty good for us. We're under no real pressure. We're going to take 1 damage here, but then we have a late game hand here. A bunch of really big explosive plays throughout this game, and hopefully we can just outplay our opponent. Just kind of outvalue our opponent in terms of how big our cards are in comparison to theirs. There's a Spell Gorger Weird, that's fine. Once it gets too big, I can blow it up. Or I could Reeve Soul it right now, but I think I'd rather actually get a card on the board here. We'll play the Jukai Preserver and pass the turn. I don't expect the Spell Gorger Weird to become like a 4/4 or bigger at this point. I can probably just Reeve Soul it next turn if I don't hit a land. Feral Prowler coming in, most likely they just want to draw a card here, but if they have a combat trick to kill Preserver, that's fine, because it's going to kill something at some point anyway. Alright, that's a pretty good deal for us. It just turns into a trade. Of course, the Feral Prowler does make up for that by drawing them a card here. Play my Elfhame Worm, or I can attempt to Reeve Soul the Spell Gorger Weird. Don't think Reeve Soul's going to get a better target later, but at the same time, I don't want to sit here not putting stuff on board. I think I'm just going to slam down the Elfhame Worm. We're probably going to end up having to Daring Demolish or Blood Curdle the Spellgorger Beard now. I doubt it's going to stay a 3/3 forever. Dritz Duerden. Well, we did find a better Reeve Soul target. It's a 3/3 double striker that keeps getting bigger. Yeah, it gets +1/+1 counters and stuff throughout the game. I'll boop that right away. Kind of want a Blood Curdle to get Menace on the Elfhame Worm. Yeah, if I just attack in, they're going to block with the 4/1 here, and that's not a good trade. the same time, again, Reef Soul's gonna run out of targets if I just keep it in hand forever. I'll deal with it. Hopefully they don't make this Spell Gorger weird any bigger next turn. But they probably will. We have built our own vigilant, trampling, menacing worm here. Doing a lot of damage. No attacks from our opponent. Cool to trade into both their cards or trade into a combat trick here. I can't really afford to just Reeve Soul pre-combat because then they can just respond with any instant, even if it's a card draw instant, and completely counter my Reeve Soul. Sure. Alright. No tricks here. So we're chilling, we're hanging out. Dropping a Cultist. Maybe better to drop the Cutthroat. But I get really greedy with this card. I think I get too greedy with this card. I probably don't play it right. Fungal Rebirth, that's obnoxious. I get to cast 2 copies of Drit Steward in this game. Which is another pretty bad 2-for-1 for us. They get a 3/3 Double Striker and a 4/1 Trampler. One, 2 trades into their 4/1 at least. I am playing the Cutthroat here, and then I have a 3/3 to block the 1/1s. No second forest is super awkward for us. We have 8 green sources in the deck. I guess no first forest. We have 7 forests. I'm pretty sure. Yep, we have 8 green sources in the deck, 11 black sources. The Blooming Marsh is the one that's both. There we go. We have got the Colossal Dreadmaw mana just in time. And I think we just plop it out. Opponent looked at our Colossal Dreadmaw. I'm not a fan of that. Ominous Parcel is their draw, so that is removal here. They can kill the Cutthroat. Is their best target. Do I have any reason to keep this forest in hand in my deck? No, I have nothing that I can discard a card to do anything. The only reason would be to try to get my opponent to play around anything, and that's generally not worth it. Yep, I mean this is a staring contest. I think I have to blow up the Hook Hand Mariner, because if I just pass turn, it turns into a 6/4 that trades into my Dreadmaw. Because I can't block it with the 1/2. Staring contest, let's go. The top deck war commences. Who is the luckier player today? The Washer Cultivator is just yet more mana for our opponent. Light Breath Catoblepa. That is at least -2/-2, even if they parcel this in response to its enter the battlefield effect, so I get to kill the 4/1 with this, not the 4/4. So that's a really good start off the top there to the top deck war. Parcel's threatening to deal 4 damage, so they can double block the Dreadmaw and shoot it with the parcel to kill it. Then they don't have a parcel, they don't have any 1/1s, they just have a 0/3 on board against multiple 3/3s. That's actually worth it. It's probably their best play, but it is worth it to me to kill all that. They also do 7 damage here. And they're left with 1 blocker. Yeah, they're at 7 life with 1 blocker against multiple 3-power creatures. Demanding Dragon. Well, Poultice isn't doing anything, so I might as well sack it. Draw a card. Clockwork Servant's a very good draw. And say, I thought I was winning the card draw war with the Catablipus, but then opponent drops Demanding Dragon, and that is very good as well. We'll see what we can get off this Clockwork Servant now. Untamed Kavu. That's pretty legitimate. That is a creature big enough to attack into the dragon. Forces a dragon for Kavu trade. Wording Ogre. I can still only kill my Kavu with the Demanding Dragon. We're drawing into a Jungle Creeper. Do they have a way to survive and keep Demanding Dragon if I attack with everybody? Kill that. Kill that. Trying to take 5. Yeah. If I don't attack with Servant, they just go free kill, trade, take 5. Yeah, I think I'm only attacking with Kavu. And it is going to trade for the dragon, which is going to open up my attacks with all of my 3-power creatures. And Jungle Creeper looks really good on this board state if they can't get a 4 toughness creature. There's another land for our opponent. That is land number 10. Here's our land number 10. Can cash in the Clockwork Servant for extra damage, hit them for at least 5 here. But then it probably gets killed by Ogre. At the same time, they have to make a trade with a 3-power creature with Ogre anyway. I don't know, I don't think I'm sending Servant in yet. Alright, cracking the Cultivator to pull out another land from their deck, making them less likely to top deck another. Jukai Preserver is 1 blocker. They need another spell or a blocker to survive. And they do not have one. We've got lethal on board there, so it is going to be 1-0 to start this draft off. Alright, here we are in game 2 on the play. Go ahead and keep it here. We do need to draw another swamp, ideally, for these double black cards, but we've got a pretty good start to the game with these 2 drops. Lightkeeper is going to start it off for our opponent. We've got a Clockwork Servant. Pretty far off from getting cast with the Adamant trigger. Hired Poisoner. A lot of 1/1s from our opponent. The swamp here, hope to draw the 3rd. That would be pretty cool. Simic Guildgate is the discard from our opponent. I'll offer the trade of Novice Occultist to Hired Poisoner. The Poisoner really has no good trades on board right now because both our creatures are just value creatures. Glittering Frost. Okay, our opponent has whatever mana they need now. That adds 2 mana of any color. 1 mana of any color. So they have blue, black, green, and then 1 of any color. That's scary. Alright, they still don't have anything I need to blow up, so we're going to play the Clockwork Servant here. We did draw into the Adamant, which is sweet. Dark Bargain, some more card draw if we don't need to do anything next turn. Probably should have left one of these two back. I don't really want to trade a 2-3 into their 1-1 Death Toucher. But at the same time, they're holding back 1 point of damage. I can just take 1 point of damage. Alright, yeah, they're not going to attack anyway. Obsessive Stitcher, so they can... A really good card. They can use this as looting to draw a card, discard a card, so they can discard a big creature and then bring the big creature back with the sacrifice ability of this card later. So that is pretty threatening. I might even just blow it up. That opens up our attacks as well doing that. But then I don't have the removal for whatever big creature they're going to hit. But they're only on 4 mana and they're stuck there. So I'm going to blow up the Stitcher, I think. It gets rid of their card selection as well. Their draw and discard effect alone can be pretty powerful. They're going to take all the damage. They're not going to trade the Poisoner for the Clockwork Servant. Alright, attack with everybody. They're going to Precipitous Drop my Clockwork Servant to make it a 0-1, and they get a Scry 1 off of the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Scry to the top, I'm going to assume that's probably a land for them. Fungal Infection is very good against their deck. I think I'm holding up Fungal Infection. I don't think I'm going to play the Blight Breath just yet when it can kill better stuff later very easily. So I'm just going to Dark Bargain and Fungal Infection during my opponent's turn. Oh, maybe it's not a land, maybe it's just something better. This is going to be the world's most disgusting fungal infection, if it resolves. We'll get to kill the Blightkeeper and block the Hired Poisoner with it. That was pretty gnarly. That was a pretty uncool Containment Construct from our opponent. When they discard a card, they can exile it from grave, and they can play it this turn. Okay. Let's get a Dark Bargain going. Seven mana. I can only cast one spell this turn, probably just going to play a 5/5 Trample. Not majorly worried about Containment Construct's ability, because they still need to spend the mana to cast whatever they're exiling. It's not like they're going to combo off with some ridiculous spells or anything with that. Secrets of the Key, investigate and get a clue token. We'll draw a card off of the clue. They are still digging for that next land, and there it is, Castle Lochthwain. But that is it for the turn. Let's hit them again. 7 is not lethal, so no need to kill that creature pre-combat. They are down to 2. Drop a Jungle Creeper and probably draw a card off the Blood Mage. Could exile their graveyard though and get rid of their flashback card, but I don't see that being a problem. Our opponent's just going to scoop them up. Regardless, our board state is way too wide, and we're going to be 2-0 starting this draft off. Alright, here we are, game 3. We got 2 mana, one of each color for all these 2 drops. Snap Keep. Drop an Ecstatic Awakener turn 1, and we're going to have a very classic Innistrad Midnight Hunt combo here where we sack the Occultist to the Awakener potentially. Although playing a Glowspore Shaman turn 2 is pretty tempting as well. Just get some high power on the board as quickly as possible. I think I'm going to do that here. mill 3 lands with it, so I can put a land on top of my library. I don't actually think I want one right now. Putting a swamp on top does get me to Clockwork Servant's Adamant ability, though. 2/3 lifelink. Super rude. Well, I can Adamant off of green here, weirdly enough. Alright, well, offer the trade with the Disciple. They don't want to take the trade. So they're going to race us a little bit with it. Let's play the Occultist. Yep, they sure are going to race with it. This is a Subtle Strike, Skullduggery, basically. At least they don't permanently keep the +1/+1, but that is super nasty. Oh my god, wow. Yep. Those tricks are very good against our deck here. Well, very good against that draw. Those are actually, I think, the only 1 toughness creatures in our deck. So that's not entirely accurate. They're just really good against that draw. Pretty brutal. Probably drawing a card off Occultist here. Dreadmaw's a nice one. Opponent's going to start exploring with their Tomb Robber. Alright, let's make sure we've got good creatures on the ground to block their nonsense. Just digging for our removal, but we've seen the deck. We know we have like 7 removal spells. That's all I need to turn the game around. It's just 1 or 2 of those. Get rid of the Flyer and the Tomb Robber. You really need to get rid of this Flyer, though. Need that to happen soon. You can trade Kavu into the Tomb Robber here, because they double block with Disciple Tomb Robber. Threaten a trick there as well, but I doubt they play around it. If they play around a trick, the attack is just straight value for us, but I don't think they will. Especially after thinking this long. Let's just drop the Dreadmaw pass. And I guess because I have a Dreadmaw and an Elfane Worm coming up, kind of okay to just trade. Now trades are horrible because they're blocked with a 3/4 and a 2/4. I guess not horrible, they're just not as good. Kill the 3/4. Just waiting for one of our removal spells. Did a double check through the deck. We have 5 removal spells that can kill the Aeronauts. 2 that can't. Fungal Infection and Reeve Soul cannot. We do have a Chump Blocker. We have a Gorging Vulture coming up. 8 mana. Halfway through the deck, 0 removal. 8 mana is not quite enough to pick up the Kavu and recast it, so I guess I have to Vulture now. Well, we hit one of our removal spells, the Blight Breath. We can pick that up with Memorial to Folly. That means I need to leave Gorging Vulture on board. So that the Blight Breath does -3/-3 instead of -1/-1. So we're going to sack this during our opponent's end step. Pick up the Blight Breath and cast it. They just scried something to the top though, we'll see what it is. The combat trick to get a kill with a Golden Tail. Nope, they're just gaining some life here. Night Clubber. Okay, so it's a trick, yeah, to kill the servant. That's very okay. Pick up our Blight Breath. And draw Blood Curdle. Okay. 8 mana is not enough to cast both of these. We definitely play the Blight Breath. You're gonna use the Bushmeat Poacher to gain some life, draw a card. 5 life, 3 attackers, 2 power apiece. Die to removal if I attack with everything. Vulture's my worst blocker, so I guess I just send that in. Dreadmaw is a very good blocker until they can hit removal. So I hit the removal immediately, alright. Abnormal Endurance. I think I am supposed to try to do that on blocks, but then I'm pretty low on cards in library. But then I get to keep a Blood Curdle. Still have 10 cards. I've got 10 turns to kill my opponent. Yeah, I need 2 more life. I'm milling all my removal. I still have Blood Curdle though. They're on a 9-turn clock. They die faster than I mill out. Celestial Unicorn, that's fine. Still haven't hit our Jungle Creeper. That'd be a pretty big draw. Fathom Fleet Cutthroat's also fine. Play that. I think turning this into a Menacer is pretty good. Puts them on a 3-turn clock. Jukai Preserver speeds up that clock, I think. No, it's still a 3-turn clock, but definitely play it pre-combat for the extra damage. Oh wait, no, it's a 2-turn clock if they don't draw a creature, and they did not. And we draw removal if they did. Alright. 3-0 it'll be. Really big comeback there in the end once we started hitting our removal spells. And it was flexible too, the way the deck worked, because we got to mill the creature that was a creature removal spell and then bring that creature back to our hand with our land effect. That was probably the spiciest way we could have gotten out of that, because it's not like we just straight drew Blood Curdle immediately. We drew the Vulture to mill the Blight Breath, to recur the Blight Breath with our land, so cool stuff there. 3-0 now heading into game 4. Alright, here we are, game 4. This is a mono black hand, but it's got great interaction in it. And black is the core color of our deck. We've got more black cards than green, so could be okay here. And we did draw a 3-drop, which is great. We're against blue-red. Very aggressive blue-red deck with a turn 2 Rimrock Knight. I don't think I'm going to flunk that. I might want to just play Blood Mage and get a Pest token. Make it really hard for that to get in. We're doing really well on drawing swamps. Get the Pest. Wingspan Mentor. Gives the Rimrock Knight flying? That is a pretty disgusting synergy. Good lord. They can keep making it bigger and bigger off of Wingspan Mentor's ability. I'm going to attack with both and see if I get to Fathom Fleet Cutthroat the Wingspan Mentor. I do not. I think against blue-red, most of their creatures should be pretty small, and we still have a Blood Curdle for a big one, so I'm going to be mana efficient here and use my most expensive sorcery speed removal to get rid of the 3/1 flyer. That way I have the cheaper instant speed removal at the ready for other cards. I get to cast Elfhame Worm here, but they are on blue-red, so they can easily have counterspells. I'd rather have a Fathom Fleet Cutthroat get countered, so I'll just go for that this turn. Alright. That's pretty good for me. That means if my Fathom Fleet Cutthroat gets countered, I don't even really lose anything of much value. Alright, Thirst for Knowledge, draw 3, then discard 2 unless they discard an artifact. Discard Island, and then they did not cast a counterspell. Alright, I guess no counters for them. Might have been digging with the Thirst for Knowledge for like an Essence Scatter. Here's a Pyroclastic Hellion. Very okay with me, should be pretty easy to kill. Fungal Infection is the draw. It's not big enough to win a combat here. I'm just gonna play the Elfhame Worm, take a turn off. Just setting up. Maybe their counterspells are all negate style spells. That would be rough. Rush-Faced Recluse, that's a beautiful option for Fungal Infection. Blow up the soldier and get a Sapperling. Oh no. Things just got even better for us. We just countered their Switcheroo spell. That is absolutely devastating, or at least should be. Now we can flunk the Hellion and still have a Blood Curdle for anything. 2-for-1s galore. Fungal Infection has been so good today. We Fungal Infectioned a 1/1 flyer and blocked a 1/1 Death Toucher with it one game, and then this game we Fungal Infectioned their 2/1 and countered their Mind Control effect at the same time. Beautiful work from Fungal Infection, going to take us to 4-0 now, heading into Game 5. Game 5, here we go. Perfect mana, not much to say, but keep. Opponent is on green and blue with a Thornwood Falls to start it off. We've got our turn 2 Glowspore Shaman, our 3-power 2-mana creature. We've milled a Flunk and a Reeve Soul. Pretty sad one there. I'm going to need 6 mana eventually, but for now I think I'm pretty cool to draw some more non-land cards. So I'm not going to flood a bunch of lands on top here. Alright, Gorging Vulture. Please don't mill any more of my removal. Alright, we milled another removal spell and a removal creature, so we are not a heavy removal deck this game. Flunk, Terra Sunder, Reeve Soul, and Fathom Fleet Cutthroat all milled. Every non-land card we've milled is sort of removal. Our opponent is on green, blue, and black, and they're just going to play a Bioloom Egg here, a 0-4 defender. If they sacrifice it for any reason, it turns into a 4-4. It flips into the Bioloom Serpent. That is probably not worth destroying right now. 100% worth attacking into, though, because if my opponent plays around a combat trick, then I get some free damage in. Ooh, Jukai Preserver. That would have been a huge draw last turn, because then we could make the Glowspore Shaman a 4-2, which gets to attack into the egg all day. Here's a Phyrexian Rager from our opponent. Lose life, draw a card. Now Preserver is significantly worse, because if I make this Shaman a 4-2, it still just trades into Phyrexian Rager. Yeah, our low toughness is hitting us pretty hard here. Probably just attack with everybody and play an Elfhame Worm instead then. Our opponent has a lot of cards here. They've got 7 in hand and 4 mana up. 2 green, 2 blue, 2 black, whatever they need. Quandric's Apprentice is the first play. If they follow that up with an instant or sorcery, they get to pull a land out of the top. But if they're going to do that, they're not casting it till our turn, it seems. Attack with everybody, stay open to casting Bloodcurdle or Jukai Preserver if I wish. Then we're probably casting Dreadmaw post-combat, but maybe there'll be a really good opportunity to channel the Preserver. Alright, this looks like we just say okay. They're down to 6, and then we drop Dreadmaw. I wonder how many different sets in this draft format have Colossal Dreadmaw in it. Got Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan. It's got one of the core sets that has Dreadmaw in it. I think there's 3 different sets in this mystery draft that you could get a Dreadmaw in. Alright, they got to unburden my hand, which is cute, but I'm pretty sure they're just dead on board. If that is their play for the turn. They have 6 toughness, block all that, take all this. Yeah, they're very dead on board. Could even memorial up my Preserver and get +1/+1s out of nowhere. Uh-oh, they've got a trick in hand to survive here. Oh, I'm actually 1 mana away. 1 mana away from picking up Preserver and channeling it. Because it's 3 mana and sack Memorial, then I only have 2 mana up. Dang, I should have done that math a little sooner and played the Awakener pre-combat, so I can sack whatever they're using a trick to kill. So they're gonna kill the Dreadmaw here. Take 3 damage, go to 3 life. Ooh, they're not gonna kill it, they're gonna put it back in my hand. Okay. Well, I didn't know what I was playing around here, but it worked out for me because now I have all of my mana to replay that. Yeah. This weirdly worked better than if I just played the Awakener. So that was lucky. That was pretty lucky there. I punted into the right play. Because yeah, I was thinking that I got to hold up the Jukai Preserver channel there. Alright, and they just scoop them up. It's going to be 5-0 now for this just incredible Golgari mid-range deck. Very basic stuff, very simple magic today, but it's consistent. It's just slamming creatures down perfectly on curve, having the removal we need for the few threats that are too big for our creatures to compete with, and playing some standard games of Magic here today. We are 1,600 gems in 4 packs now. We're in the money. Let's see if we can get some more before we log off for today. Alright, here we are, game 6. Pretty perfect mana again. Glowspore Shaman on turn 2. And then on turn 4 we have the Jukai Preserver. We have some card draw. We have the Blight Breath as a creature and removal spell all in one. Pretty into it here. Our opponent is on red. Fungal Infection should probably be pretty good in this matchup. It's good against most red decks. Milled our Blood Curdle, sad. We do actually want to hit this land, I think. Because I only have 3 guaranteed. I have a 4-drop I want to play, 2 4-drops I want to play, and a 6-drop. I actually do want to pick up that forest there from the Glowspore Shaman. Would have preferred it was a swamp, but I'll still take the forest. Lambholt Harrier from our opponent. Let's offer the trade here. Probably gets accepted. If not, that's fine too. Alright, we are going to trade. Our opponent's on red-green, some Gruul stuff over there. Jewel Thief, that card's too good. Why is that in the mixed-up Premier Draft? One of the best commons in Limited on Arena ever. Was overshined by the Inspiring Overseer, the 3-mana 2/1 flyer that gains life and draws a card when it comes into play, but still would have been probably the best common in almost any other set. Very, very good deal. 3 mana for a 3/3 Vigilance Trampler and a treasure token, just an exceptional rate. Targnar, Demon Fang Knoll, the Yavimaya Sapherd. So they're just going wide quickly here. Luckily we've got the bigger creatures here. Should be hard for them to attack in super well. But it's going to be hard for us to attack in as well. Targnar gives the board +1/+0. It's not great for us. Got a Blight Breath to get rid of this Targnar soon enough, though. Double up the Targnar. It's going to be a 4/4 here, send in with both of those. I could just straight trade my Preserver into Targnar instead, then. One mana combat trick? Sure, Tameo's safekeeping. We can kill Targnar off of a land then instead. Did not hit a land, though, but Flunk can kill pretty much anything. We've got Fungal Infection and Flunk to hold up during combat, so we'll just send this in. Plenty of tricks to make this go in our favor. And then, yeah, we can Flunk Targnar. I'm going to wait till their turn to see if they double up Targnar's Power Toughness again, because that would soak up a lot of their mana for the turn. And then we can just kill Targnar in response to that. Alright, land for turn. Double up the Targnar. We'll kill the Targnar now that they spent all their mana into it. And then a Sedge Scorpion. Well, that's a Fungal Infection target. I'd rather use this as a trick? Probably not, so let's just kill the Scorpion. Okay. Still don't have the Blight Breath mana. They can only kill Elfhameworm with Jewel Thief and Sapperling. They get knocked down to a single 2/2 if they do that. There's Dark Bargain here. There's the swamp we need. Then I'll take a Callous Blood Mage here. Play the Horde Robber so that our Devotion to Black is 3 next turn. And I can kill the Jewel Thief, making Elfhameworm free to attack in. Molten Monstrosity, just a giant trampler. Corrupt Court Official for their last card in hand. Well, I'll play that instead of Blight Breath and see what's in there. We'll take Brawler. Alright. Corrupt Court Official killed a creature. Let's draw a card off of Callous Blood Mage. Now we have a Terra Sunder to hold up as well. Definitely not attacking in with Elfhame Worm. I'd rather have it on blocks against the Monstrosity. So opponent is playing off of the top here. They just play a Forest and pass. Devotion 3. Devotion's 5 once I play this, so I can kill Monstrosity with it. Sure. While they're tapped out. They lose Jewel Thief and Sapperling, and then I can just attack in with like everybody else after that. I've got multiple removal spells here. It's okay to lose the biggest creature on board, because I can just keep killing the rest of theirs if they play anything too good. Alright, so we are cashing in the Elfhame Worm for the double kill here to put them down to just a 2-2. Fight Rigging is threatening, but I can just blow up their creature. I can also exile the Fight Rigging with Terra Sunder if it's ever going to like immediately pop off, but when I have 2 removal spells I can just kill their creatures. I would rather just keep killing every creature they try to put the counters onto. So the way that works is if they get a creature out with 7 or more power, they get to cast the spell for free. But I can pretty easily make sure that doesn't happen. They're down to 8. They will be dead on board next turn. Alright, just a land for our opponent. That is dead on board. That is game. We are now 6-0 in this mixed up Premier Draft. Are we going to get a 7-0 run for the final mixed up Premier Draft? We're going to get a nice Halloween 7-0? Spooky 7-0? We'll find out as we head into the final boss, what could be the final game of Magic for today. Alright, here we are for what may be the final boss, what may be the final game of Magic, with our Golgari mid-range Spoopy Halloween deck. See what we can do here, see if I can get some treasure tokens from this Horde Robber to ramp into these spells a bit early. Definitely needs some like win conditions in this hand, but it's got a solid early game, it's got interaction. We will keep it. Opponents on blue-red and they start with the Modern Age, so they really get to set up their hand here. Drawing and discarding a card every turn. Well, 2 turns in a row. Then getting a solid little flyer out. They are on blue, red, and white. Discarded a Fierce Retribution there. Now they discard a Mountain. Play a Water Trap Weaver that's going to lock down the Horde Robber for a turn so we don't get any more treasure. Next turn I can use this treasure to Blight Breath away their flyer, which is probably the play. So for now we can get a little value here, make them discard a card. Ooh, we got a solid discard off that. Got rid of a 3/3 Vigilance Trampler that keeps returning other creatures from their grave to the battlefield. Got that out of their hand because they do not have a white source for it yet, so they couldn't cast it anyway. Tome Anima. 3/3 could be unblockable sometimes, but generally won't be. Let's use this treasure here and get the flyer out of the way. If they've drawn 2 or more cards, it will be unblockable. If they do that too consistently, we're probably just losing to them having more cards than us anyway, so. Here's that. Don't have any great attacks. Catoblepus is kind of the only thing that can attack at all, and it just trades into the 2/2. Probably just play a Jungle Creeper. And that will be our attacker. It's going to be a solid one, because we can keep bringing it back from the graveyard every time it dies. Here's an Impulse from our opponent. Pyro Helix, 2 damage to the 3/2, that's pretty fine. You've got the 3/3 that keeps coming back now. A second copy of Modern Age. That is very lucky for a mixed-up Premier Draft. That's pretty unfortunate for us. Fungal Infection is the draw. Probably attack with everybody here, because the Tome Anima is going to be unblockable again next turn because of the Modern Age. See if our Fungal Infection resolves. It does. So we kill the Water Trap Weaver, get in for a bunch of damage, and then I save the Demolition for the 2/3 flyer. Maybe it's better to kill the Tome Anima. But again, theoretically, they don't have like infinite copies of the Modern Age. Ooh, I'd love to draw my way to sacrifice my creature. That would be really good here. Oh, now I have removal for the flyer and the Tome Anima. But yeah, if I can draw the... I forget what it's called. The 1-mana 1/1 that flips into a 4/4, sack the Jungle Creeper for that. That's going to be really good against this Unpunchable Thirst. Probably just staring at each other again. I'm not sure that's a great position for us, because our opponent seems to be a deck built around card draw. Abnormal Endurance. That's not bad at all. Just gonna say like, yeah, I'll just cash in the Occultist. Alright, I'll cash in the Endurance. It wouldn't be that bad if that got countered. But looks like it does not. Another land for us. Try to drop the sorcery speed removal on the flyer. And it will resolve. Sky Scanner. So much card draw in there. Feeling outvalued. The 1/3 Flying Body doesn't matter too much. Or the 1/1 Flying Body doesn't matter too much. Probably do Blood Curdle Tome Anima at this point, because I'm not going to have good blocks for it, even if it doesn't get unblockable. We have the lead on board, but our opponent's drawn a lot more cards than us. Yikes. Well, then there's that.
Magnificent!
Dang it. I really wanted to get that 7 win today, but we're not going to do it against Sark and the Masterless, that's for sure. Opponent's drawn quite well here as well, thanks to the double Modern Age. They've really gotten to set up their draws so they don't flood out at all. Still on only 5 lands. 26 cards into their deck. Insanity from our opponent, just setting up incredible draws all game. Still, oh my god, they are still on 5 lands, 26 cards deep. Brutal stuff. 6-1 it'll be. Here we are in game 8. This is pretty much the same hand we had last time, a little faster though. I'm into it. Playing against a red deck. Burning Fist Minotaur will start things off. It's a pretty scary card. I probably do just want to flunk that thing immediately. -1/-1 right now, because they have 6 cards in hand. Yep, that's good enough. Death Bloom Salad. Alright, we don't really have attacks into that, but I can drop the Elfhame Worm thanks to the Horde Robber's Treasure. And against Grixis, they probably have a ton of removal. Pretty controlling color trio. The can double block and kill the Elfhame Worm. I don't have a trick to change that. Unless I want to use removal pre-combat. These are both pretty small bodies, so I don't think I do. Let's just Dark Bargain. Fungal Infection doesn't quite win combat with the Elfhame Worm. It's really close, but I'm putting the Jungle Creeper in grave, so I basically get to draw all three, just a little slowly. Dimir Locket. So more mana, they can also sacrifice that to draw 2 cards if they put a bunch of mana into it. Alright, I'm not that into this, but... yeah, at some point, we gotta start attacking, threatening our opponent. Light Breath kills my 1/1, that's all they can afford to kill. They have 4 power on the board though, which is not good for our Elfhame Worm. Get our Horde Robber value. Okay. Then we get our Fathom Fleet Cutthroat value instead. Draw 2 off the Dimir Locket. Three mana up here with the 1/1 on board. Vicious Offering, sack a creature to kill the worm. Rough. Okay, Gorging Vulture, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 mana to just replay Jungle Creeper. I think I'd rather do that right now than play a 2/2 flyer currently on an empty board. Get 2 Chronicler, that's a very good value play from Dominaria. Returns an instant or sorcery from graveyard to battlefield. They'll return the Vicious Offering. So they can kill another one of our creatures here. If I play Gorging Vulture, that gives them a target for the Vicious Offering that they don't have to sacrifice a creature to kill. So I don't think I actually play that until they sack a creature to do that. Igneous Inspiration, were they lucky enough? The 1 pack that has Strixhaven cards, 2 have a lesson. We'll find out. They were pest summoning as well to work with the Vicious Offering. Seems good. Surprised they're not casting the Vicious Offering yet. I guess because Jungle Creeper can come back from grave. I mean, yeah, this works. And then they just -2/-2 Jungle Creeper after. It's the exact same thing that would happen if they just sacked the pest to do that. I mill myself 8 cards if I play this Gorging Vulture and end up Endurancing it. But I still have 13 in the deck if I do that. That's more than enough to close the game out. Alright, so on the sad side, they're probably killing the Gorging Vulture now. But on the plus side, I got to kill a pest for free. Alright, we're down to 13 cards, but that's more than enough cards to kill somebody who's at 9 life. What have we milled? Reeve Soul. Still got some good stuff in there. We've got our Blood Curdle and our Colossal Dreadmaw still in there. Those are probably our best draws. Clockwork Servants in there. Yeah, there's some spice. A lot of land still, but some spice. Ooh. Oh, it was a land in hand. Alright, well. Still looked cool. Alright, we got the lead on the board state. We've got an extra removal spell in hand for whenever they draw a threat. We just need to make sure our opponent doesn't draw significantly better than us, and for now, we're super fine. Jungle Creeper is such a good, just like, inevitable threat. Because no matter how many times they trade off and kill it, I can just keep replaying it anyway. Blood Curdle through 6, not worth it. And I can, again, just replay the Jungle Creeper. If they do that trade. Mind Rot. Alright. Well, we know they're dead if we do this. We don't even need to cast the Terror Sunder, so yeah, they scoop up immediately, but we were gonna cast Terror Sunder as well, since it was gonna get discarded anyway. And then they're Incredidead on board. It's gonna be 7-1. So close. So close to a 7-0 there. Still a 7-win run. You can't complain about that. We got tons of value out of the draft. We had a sweet deck, some awesome gameplay there. 2,200 gems and 6 packs will be our reward for the event that we spent 1,500 gems on playing. So excellent, excellent way this time to actually end the mixed up Premier drafts. Unlike last time where I just thought that the drafts were ending, this is the official last day. They end in 22 hours now. So if you want to hop into a mixed up Premier draft, now is your last opportunity to do so. But yeah, super fun draft, super good stuff. I hope you're all having a great Halloween. I am very excited for this evening. I'm going to be watching some horror films with the family, eating some good food. It's going to be a good time, and I hope you all have a good holiday as well. Have some good trick-or-treating if you're still young enough to do that, or if you've got young relatives that you go around with doing that. I hope you all have a great Halloween, and if nothing else, maybe draft some spooky Magic cards at some point. So, yeah, one last look at the deck here. Super, super great stuff. Just a mountain of removal, a bunch of good value plays. Dark Bargain was a great draw spell for us. Our creature curbs a bunch of consistent good value stuff like Occultist and Corrupt Court Official. Just good stuff, but that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd just like to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have an excellent Halloween. I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.